We're going to be going to a TikTok shop agency, seeing their studio, which is not too far from here. And then we're going to be on a BBC Sounds podcast, recording as a guest, which will be interesting for half an hour. So I'm going to be doing that somewhere. And then we're good. And there's a few more bits. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff that I'll have to do in the gaps. There's a couple of potential contracts, some heads of terms we're looking at for various projects, as well as catching up with people in the gaps as well. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun day. You know, as well, I'll recommend Monday's a good day to have a content day because it kind of eases you into the week. It allows you to, you know, think creatively and be creative before you get into all the crazy work that you're gonna end up doing. So I'd recommend it. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do. That is my day. Right, so I've written some scripts we're gonna record. I'd started them, a bit of a cheat because I started them the other day on my notes. So this is one of the things that was asked, right? What do you do in the gaps when you're walking around? Sometimes it's writing scripts. I'll have an idea, I'll whack it into my notes, and then I will take it from there. All right, so here's some of the vids. Right, we've done it.
Rich parents, you can clear the whole thing for them. So you're spending 3 years now, typically taking on 5 figures of debt.
All right, so you see the process. So it's a bit scrappy and messy, but it takes about 30 minutes, maybe an hour if you're writing. So you probably spend like half the time writing and then 30 minutes or so recording. I did 6 videos, so that's literally everything done for the week on short form. So money, I think money and time well spent. Time is money, but time and money well spent. Right, so we've signed in. It's nice in here. It's not too far. Maybe I should get an office here. Who knows? All right, so the meeting I just had was with a company called Go Places, and what they do, and it's amazing in there. Didn't get to film much because it's kind of weird filming meetings, but it was effectively a TikTok. They're TikTok shop agency, and what they'll help you do as a brand is go end to end on your TikTok shop selling in your life. So they have like 9 studios in there. Each of them have like individual sets for the different brands, and then they have a whole setup where you basically have a host, a producer, and obviously the live stream, and it all plugs into TikTok. It's just the coolest thing. Like, it's such a unique setup. I've never seen anything like it. And for me, what it shows is just like, this is the start. You can see they're squeezed for space. They're doing 20 brands. They've got like 3 floors, and they're just crushing it. And I really think it's like they had it in the slides where they were talking me through it, that we are so early on the TikTok shop thing on social commerce in the UK. It's huge in China, which is what they said as well, right? They said that was what inspired them. They went to China and saw how big social commerce was. But we're so early on it. And I think all of us in any sort of commercial product-led space has to really understand, like, this is not going anywhere. And you know what one of the biggest stats I saw that they said? 38 million people in the UK use TikTok every day. That's over half the population. 1 in 2 people use TikTok every day for an average of about 60 minutes. Like, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. Anyway, super interesting, great business, and yeah, hopefully there's a world where we can get some products on there, because why would we not? Why would we not? I think content helps to break that down, actually, because when you see other people doing well, you know, maybe historically it would be more visible if you were trying, whereas now a lot of people are actually trying, giving it a go. And I think there's a way of overcoming that sense of you know, the fear of what other people will think today, because your content, if it's decent, will probably find an audience, and ultimately if it's not good, no one will see it anyway. This is like the big opportunity today. All right, so just finished a call. I was on a BBC Sounds podcast talking about social content, all the fun stuff that we talk about and yap about on a daily basis, which was good. So that's now done. I've got about 45 minutes now ish, no, half an hour to do some bits, and then we're good to go. Another day for the books, my friends. Yes, guys, we're back for another day of the vlogs, and we're in the office. We're in the office today, and we have a day full of meetings. This is what I normally do on Tuesdays, especially, right? It's just like office blitz day, so we try and get as much stuff done as we can over meetings and seeing people, because a lot of people are in on Tuesdays for some reason. It's just the day where a lot of people are in, so we're gonna be doing that today, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm trying to think what there is to say. Not much. But I'm excited for today. Hope you are excited for today. Let's get it. Right, so just heading out. I'm here with Ruben, who makes all the content for Arcade, Inside Arcade, which is our Instagram account where we talk about and share what's going on within the business. He's to film with me now. It started raining, lovely, but here he is. Ruben for the vlog. There we go. Let's hope we can stay dry and get it done before it pours down, which is probably going to happen. But yeah, in front of this nice green space. Let's go. All right, all done. Back on the train, heading home. I think it might be good to just talk a bit about actually like what our structure and what our approach is to content. Like, why do we do the Inside Arcade videos? Like, what's the point in them? And basically, for me, like the reason we do them is because it's so important for companies to open up more and to show a bit more about the people, right? Like companies that demonstrate personality, that showcase, you know, who they are, how they work, their ethos, and demonstrate that through content, I think are ahead of those that don't, because ultimately people want to work for companies that they can relate to, that they can see themselves in, right? So if you're able to create like a clear window into your business in a way that is, you know, in a way that's attractive for others and that looks really nice, that sets off aesthetically a solid tone and a clear sense of who you are, then that's only going to attract more people to the business, right? Which is, from a talent recruitment perspective, invaluable. So we saw this with the Fellow Studios, like when they did their vlogs, it helped them massively to open up the business and make them corporate famous. And I think corporate fame is such an underrated part of what it means to run a business, and so many people neglect it, and content is the best way to build that. So yeah, big focus for us, we're big into it, and it's been transformational for us. And I think if you're running a business, like no one's got an excuse, like make content about your business. As a brand, you have to play in culture. Truly where the audience you're trying to reach is not where you think they should be maybe, or maybe they're where they were. It's genius, so good, so well put together. There's a signal to every brand that like this is the blueprint, this is the way you do it. You make activations, you make moments for the audience you want to reach. You put it where the audience is. It's not rocket science, but it's still, sadly. Right, and we're done for another day. So what's the time? It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 p.m. in the evening. I'm about to go to the gym. Today was a really good day. Very happy. Lots of good movements, lots of things happening across the board, prepping for board meetings, the community service. Great meet with Connor talking about all the IP stuff that's going on. Great call with a potential partner around some things. Lots of good stuff. It's been a great day. On to the next, my friends, on to the next. Clipping something which we are acutely aware of, you know, and appreciate the power of, especially now, to your point, right? Like the macro is that short form is where most discovery is held, and a lot of streamers, like people won't, you're going to get a conversion essentially of all of that short form attention. You might get, I don't know, 0.2%, 0.3% converting into your full streams, but if you're not driving that full volume top of funnel into clips, and you're not going to get any of that coming to the mainstreams. All right, so charging the car, that was a quick call with a company that does clipping, which is effectively where if you're a streamer or if you're making long form content, the majority of people now watching your content are not going to be watching the full thing. They're going to be watching clips on TikTok, X, Instagram Reels, etc. So if you're not thinking in terms of clips, you're literally missing out on the majority of traffic. And so if you're a content creator, if you're somebody making long form content especially, you have to think in clips. Like clips are the top of funnel. Content really, the long form is kind of the bottom of funnel really for you now, because attention is going shorter and shorter, and people want more bite-sized things. So, you know, your job is to drive as much top of funnel to then convert a percentage, maybe 0.5%, 1% max probably, into then your long form. That's a realistic conversion rate these days. So yeah, important to remember. Like everything's clips. Everything is clips today. But yeah, done now. Time for the gym, and then we are going home and to bed. Right, good morning, guys. So we are standing at the station, and I'm doing something that I'm doing now is I'm working out the WhatsApp group. So one thing that we are doing a lot more of that is obviously group comms and using WhatsApp for all of it. So WhatsApp community is super valuable and helpful for basically keeping everyone together. What I'm trying to do is to kick off the arcade group properly now because we haven't really used it in a while. And what I want to use it for is for updates on what's going on, but also for like a brain trust. So like I saw an article this morning on Twitter and I'm like, we need to share that with the whole group. So that's what we're going to be using this for. So I'm getting that set up. So I'm just doing my little welcome message for the group. I'm just drafting that up, adding everyone in there. We'll make sure no numbers are shown. And yeah, hopefully we can have a really nice, thriving brain trust of a group. One thing that's interesting is we're talking on the group about about AI, and there's this article actually that I saw on Twitter, which is so good. Came out last night, which basically outlines like what some of the progressions and the changes that are going on within the space, and just how quickly everything is improving on the AI front, especially with the three big players, right, which are Claude, DeepMind, Google, which is Google, and then OpenAI. And it was a bit alarming for me because I was reading, I was like, oh my goodness, like this actually does marry with my felt experience of Claude, especially, which is that it is absolutely unbelievable and so valuable and useful, but also in a way, because it's got to that point of being so useful for me now, I'm not becoming dependent, but like I use it for research and for everything really that I do to help. And so we're talking about it with the team and sort of saying to everyone, look, like I really believe that everyone should have a Claude Pro account in the company because it is just that valuable and just that helpful in terms of speeding up work, in terms of research, etc. So yeah, huge. And I'd say it's one of those things that will only get more important, and definitely, as I'll put the article here, read it, because AI is genuinely improving at such a level now that it's, it will probably replace most jobs in the entry level, especially any of those sort of typical desk jobs. So many of them you just go, well, why do you need it, right? And this is the point we're at in time, which is pretty mad. So there's a whole world of content going out. Everything's driven around the creator first angle, pushing as me, like either documenting me as obviously CEO and founder of Arcade and showing behind the scenes of that process, or insight around the creator economy and everything we know from obviously being in our position in the industry, and yeah, trying to be that definitive European voice for the creator economy. That's like my goal in a way. Okay, look at this, by the way. Look at how amazing it looks in here. This is so nice. This is the new boardroom. Look, we've got the pens, we've got the notebooks, we've got the flowers subscription, we've got the art on the TV. I mean, this is how it's supposed to be done. This is how, look at this. Stunning. Phoebe, Jess, you cooked. You absolutely cooked. 10 out of 10, all round. Right, I'm just on a call with a paddle entrepreneur of all people. Who, we're talking about some potential ideas which are very exciting. So let's see. Yeah, so bit of a nightmare. So I had challenge, right? We had 2 meetings. Had one meeting, ran totally over, so I missed a call, and then had another meeting after that, then ran over, so I missed another call. So yeah, two calls have to be rescheduled. Literally the nature of juggling so much is that sometimes you end up missing things, having to push stuff back, which is why having Phoebe is a lifesaver. Because without that, what would you do? Hey guys, and we are back for another evening. It's the evening. All the kids are asleep. It's been a really good day of meetings, calls. I was going to go on a call this evening with Joe and some people from a big agency who we're speaking to at the moment for some potential support on some of the stuff we're doing, and they are in LA, so it's quite difficult to schedule. And it's one of those with 5 kids, like the reality is you can plan for a 9 o'clock call, but they might just not want to go to sleep. They might just be rattling away, as was the case with the twins. So a bit difficult to have that. Joe took it tonight, which was great. And on the whole, look, we're super excited about everything that happened today, as well. Every day, as you can probably tell, we have an enthusiasm in Arcade that's hopefully quite infectious, and something that we stand by, which is that, positivity beats cynicism all day, every day, unless you're in accounts. If you're in accounts, you can be cynical. Everyone else has to be super positive, and I think that's quite a healthy way to run a business. Accounts, put the brake on. Okay, say no, this isn't good. This isn't going to work. Everyone else, you go for it. You go for it like success is the only option. But today was really good, and we had a great meeting with a potential partner, a brand, a channel, an IP, which is growing really well and actually need some support in terms of infrastructure scale. I think could be a really good fit for us. So we're talking to them. Me and Connor had a meeting with them earlier. What else? Had a number of calls as well with various different people. Got to catch up with Callum, which was brilliant. So Callum, who is he's sort of running a bit of a hybrid role between Sidemen Entertainment and Arcade. He initially came into Arcade. He was the first hire actually in Arcade that was outside of the Sidemen Entertainment infrastructure which we were building. So for a long time, for like 4 years, our job was effectively building the Sidemen Entertainment in the Sidemen ecosystem and all of their hires. Now that team's up to 55 people. And then when we made the decision to sort of formally break and have Sidemen Entertainment totally distinct from Arcade, because it got to the scale where it required that and needed that, we started bringing in hires for ourselves, and Callum was the first one outside of myself, Sam and Aaron, who was in a business development role. Jess, my amazing assistant prior to now working with Joe and Sam, was there before, but really it was Callum. It was Mr. Callum who was on it from a growth and Arcade-owned perspective. It was him. So met up with him, chatted about how he's getting on. There's so much cool stuff happening on the Sidemen world now, which he's actively involved in, which is great. And yeah, man, it's been a really good day. Every day's a good day. We're very blessed, very lucky. I think that's one thing I'd like to talk about, actually, but I'll talk about it in a bit, is gratitude and how it's just better to live with a sense of gratitude. And like, actually, what we do is so fun. I'm so grateful to be doing this. You could have 100 other terribly infuriating jobs, which are far more labor intensive, challenging, whatever it might be. But this is a job where you can't complain. You have to just be positive and happy that you get to do this every day, because it could be a lot worse, guys. It could be a lot worse. Tomorrow I've got a really exciting day, so I'm going to be going on the Times Business podcast to talk about Arcade, Sidemen, all the stuff we're doing in the morning, and then I'm going for a very interesting and exciting meeting with a former footballer in the afternoon. It's a good week. It's a great week. Hope you're having a wonderful week, and we shall speak in the morning, guys. We'll speak in the morning. In a bit. Good morning, guys, and welcome back to another day of the vlogs. And we are here this morning in London Bridge, and I'm doing something quite interesting today, which is that I am appearing on the Times Business podcast. So the Times Business podcast is a podcast by the Times about business, in case you couldn't guess that, at the News UK offices, which are just in London Bridge. And so it should be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about obviously Arcade, Sidemen, creator economy, all that fun stuff, getting into everything really. So it should be great, and I will bring you guys with me. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the inside. All right, so we're in the studio now. We're about to begin. Let's go. Been great. I think businesses have to, in 4 words, think like a creator. That is the fundamental shift that's going on right now that most businesses don't understand, that most individuals don't quite get, but that if you do it, it is this huge unlock. Thank you very much. Okay, we're all done. Right, there's a lot of people who are older from different demographics, so from different worlds, are now fully locked in on social. Like, they are just consuming it, they understand it, so they can be more comfortable doing it. And TikTok as well has been like a real leveler. Like, it's really helped everyday people get comfortable making content. So then it's starting there and then evolving out, you know. Yeah, it's just an interesting thing where actually you realize the power, again, that content has to just reach anybody, and then you can just DM them and they know, oh, I've been following your work for a long time and I like what you say. So yeah, that's a big one for me, is sort of being, again, it's trying to help people to decode the creator economy, to understand it, understand how to actually navigate it, and understand also the impacts from a macro level around, you know, content at large, right? How that business is shifting so rapidly, as we know, but many don't. I think it's just super important. One thing I will say is that as time goes on and as like, I don't know, as we keep doing we're having all these amazing conversations and meetings, like, it's more just remember, this is the most fun thing in the world, doing what we do. And I think we have to sometimes be cognizant of that. And again, as I said, right, be grateful. Gratitude is the key, because it's so cool getting to meet these amazing people, work on these brilliant projects, and hopefully make some cool stuff happen. So yeah, that's all I've got to say really. In a bit. Hey guys, we're back for another day, and today we are in Marble Arch this morning. Sort of Marble Arch, we're at the bottom of Oxford Street. We're heading to Nobu for a meeting with a couple of connections of mine, friends of mine, in the business world who are quite high up and elite in what they do. Really interesting characters. And we're meeting to discuss potential ventures. So, one of them is an investor. The other is a very senior executive from the world of music and the music industry. And so we are meeting to talk about what can be potentially done together, because we share a sense of how the space is moving, how media is changing, and how there's an opportunity within the creator economy from a corporate perspective to bring some finance to some of the projects that are going on. Sounds all very ominous, so I can't really talk about it in too much detail, but it should be really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. And then afterwards, I have to go to Selfridges to pick up something for Millie for Valentine's Day tomorrow, because I need to do that. And then meeting on the other side of Oxford Street with he used to run podcasts at an incredible, one of the biggest podcast companies in the world. So speaking to him about various things, and then a couple more calls and back to the north of London. So very excited, should be a great day. You know what, it's so nice. One thing I'm very grateful for is that I get to work in London, because London is somewhere where, like, it's just, everything's so well connected, it's so easy, and it's a real pleasure to be able to dip around the city. And even though it's a bit cold and it's been very wet and it's not been the most pleasant of times of late, to be able to dip around places like Portman Square and Mayfair and Oxford Street and Soho, whatever, maybe not Soho, I don't really like Soho, but all those places is a real pleasure, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, let's go to Nobu. I've been there before for a few meetings. I don't normally go to Portman Square because it's a bit out of the way, but Nobu's a nice exception. Let's see, how much do you think the coffee will cost? That's the question. I think a nice Americano, £6 maybe? Let's see. All right, so meeting went really well. We are basically exploring a potential new media venture of some kind that I'm not going to talk about to you publicly yet, but it could be really exciting, and I think we'll tap into a lot of our strengths collectively as a team of three. It'd be a great one for Arcade on the originals front. Taps into a lot of our sort of strategy around what we're trying to do on the original content side of things. It could be really cool. I think one thing I'm definitely becoming aware of more and more, the more conversations you have, the more like ventures you explore, there's always something new. There's always room. There's something that's really important, and I think everyone needs to remember that. Like, there is literally always room for new ideas. There's always room for new entries into the space. Like, the challenge is actually that to execute anything well is just takes such an amount of effort and strategy around like who's running it, who's incentivized, alignment. That's the stuff that gets things going or makes things flop. And actually, from an idea perspective, the idea you might have that you think is already done, there's probably room for it. There probably is room for it. So yeah, if you can make it happen, that's the key, is actually executing it. That's 90% of the challenge. And that's the bit that not everyone can do. So yeah, it's good. Confidence in our ideas, my friends. Confidence in our ideas. Yeah, exactly that. So our vision with that is that we believe that the unlock for like real conversion on YouTube from an ask, because obviously it's one thing buying ads on YouTube and buying YouTube inventory. The other thing is what you're going to put on that inventory, and typically it's, you're taking TVCs, you're taking assets that are already made, right, and you're just using YouTube in order to amplify it. But that's never going to convert as much as if you're leveraging YouTube-led talent and creators and brands to plug into the creative of those ads. So our vision with that is, well, actually, there's a gap for us in what we call social, like the social TVC. So what's TVC? Obviously being the label for like ads typically on TV. All right, guys. So just had a great meeting with an incredible executive from the world of podcasting, who's recently come back from the US, and we're talking about all sorts of things. He's brilliant and really nice guy. Very excited. So watch this space on that one. Second thing was I had a call from a very high up president of an international media company, one of the biggest in the world, and he wanted to connect to talk about our space and connections and what we can do, etc., which just finished, which was also really good. Great day. What a day. Love days like this. We get to meet loads of really interesting people, have some brilliant calls, and that's how change happens. Like, opportunity comes from outputs. The more people you meet, the more conversations you have, the more you do, the more you meet, the more you invites you say yes to, etc. That's when things happen, and it's so cool to see it all come together. So right, train continues. Let's go. Hey guys, so we are at the end of another week, and look, so much is happening. As I keep saying, the key for us is just to make sure we're doing the right things, the right opportunities. We're looking after our incredible team, and we are staying focused on the mission, which is to become the generationally defining creator first company. And we want to do that really well. I think we've got every shot. This weekend as well is the Formula E event, which the team have been working on for the last 5-6 weeks, and I've seen how much I've had to smash through to navigate to deliver something which I hope will be an unbelievable event. So watch out for that. And look, all in all I can say is grateful. Thank you for watching these vlogs. Thank you for giving me feedback, for liking them. And I will be back for another week next week. Next week's going to be a bit different because it's half term, so I probably won't be able to film too much. But I will do what I can and keep you on this journey with me, my friends. Have a great weekend. Have a wonderful day, whatever it is you're doing right now watching this. And we'll speak soon.